barbecued oysters, smoked rotisserie prime rib, triple smoked potatoes, and smoked cheesecake. From the beautiful JW Marriott Star Pass Resort in Tucson, Arizona, it's White Glove Barbecue. I'm Stephen Raichlen, and this is Project Smoke. For most of us, barbecue is a meal you eat down and dirty. Today's show features a sophisticated menu designed to raise smoking to the level of art. I give you a white glove barbecue, complete with smoked rotisserie prime rib and smoked cheesecake. Up first, smoked oysters with Chipotle barbecue sauce. Many years ago, I attended a wedding in Salinas, California. I saw a sign by the side of the road that said, "Barbecue today." So of course I screeched my car to a stop. And what did I find? Not beef, not pork, but oysters, 1½ shell, sauced with barbecue sauce, and cooked on a wood-burning grill. So that was the meaning of barbecue in this part of California. That's the inspiration of our first dish, barbecued oysters. Is there anything as delectable as a fresh oyster on the half shell? How about that same oyster, fragrant with wood smoke? For our first dish, think bliss on a half shell. You'll never think about oysters quite the same way. First, the barbecue sauce. It starts with ketchup, honey, cider vinegar, soy sauce for a note of umami, Worcestershire sauce, and 2 spicy ingredients, freshly grated horseradish and minced chipotle chilies. Bring these ingredients to a boil over a hot fire, whisking to mix. And just taste for seasoning. Nice smoky heat from the chipotle. So let the sauce cool. Meanwhile, let me show you how to shuck an oyster. We got these beautiful oysters from Coos Bay, Oregon. And protecting your hand with a thick dish towel, insert the tip of an oyster shucking knife in the hinge of the oyster, that's this part right here, the slender part, and wiggle the knife back and forth until you hear the top shell pop. Then twist the knife and slide your oyster knife under the adductor muscle to cut the oyster away from the shell. Next, slide the knife under the oyster, again to cut that adductor muscle to free the oyster from the shell. The adductor muscle is what holds the shells together. So you want to cut it on top and on the bottom. Now place a spoonful of the Chipotle horseradish barbecue sauce in each oyster. These oysters are modeled on the barbecued oysters served in Tomales Bay, California. Of course, the toppings are limited only by your imagination. Next, place a pat of butter on each oyster. And what's going to happen is the butter will melt into the Chipotle barbecue sauce. The barbecue sauce will mingle with the oyster juices, and delicious awesomeness will soon follow. I'm cooking the oysters on a pellet grill. It's fueled with these hardwood pellets. I'm using cherry. Close the lid and cook the oysters just long enough to melt the butter and sizzle the oyster juices. Oh man, you can see the juices are bubbling. These look really incredible. So here are your barbecued oysters. I like to serve oysters on a bed of salt so the juices won't tip. And let's try it. Wow. That is really good. Nice heat from the chipotle, the briny oyster broth. The horseradish sort of becomes sweet, and behind it all, the smoked oyster. Up next, a spectacular rotisserie prime rib. You won't believe it. We'll do the prime rib on this. How wide's your prime rib, Chris? Is it full 7 bone?
It's a big, yeah.
Will it fit in this?
Oh, and it'll fit in there, yeah.
Okay, hold it. I have a question.
Yes.
How high?
I can, let me pull it off of here. I'll have it back up here.
Yeah. Let's go up on the rack.
Okay, excellent.
What are we doing?
Taking down the silk. We don't want the grill to set it on fire or melt it.
Prime rib may be the most expensive hunk of meat you ever invested. Surprisingly, preparing it is monastically simple. Our next recipe uses 2 live fire cooking techniques, rotisserie roasting and direct grilling over a wood fire. The wow power is off the charts, and the taste is out of this world. I've been spit roasting prime rib, as the English do their roast beef, for decades. The idea of smoking a prime rib came to me while I was preparing for Project Smoke. The combination of the sanguine beef, the salt, the seasonings, the fat, and the smoke flavor, it's off the charts incredible. This is a whole 7-bone prime rib, 22 pounds of proteinaceous pleasure. It comes from a grass-fed steer. Remember, how your food is raised matters as much as how you grill or smoke it. Now, notice I've left a thick sheath of fat. The fat will melt during the roasting process, basting the meat, keeping it moist. I like to keep the seasonings simple. Coarse sea salt, freshly ground black pepper, dried oregano, and hot red pepper flakes. No elaborate marinades, no elaborate rubs. You really want to keep the focus on the beef. So turn your prime rib over and season the back the same way. And don't forget to season the ends. Next, thread the prime rib onto the spit. So find the halfway point between the end of the ribs and the top of the roast and insert the spit. Just run it all the way through the roast. And we'll come through almost to the end. Then place the prongs on the spit and use them to secure the prime rib. Tighten the lock screw with your finger, then use a fork to secure it in place. Now, place the other set of prongs on the other end of the spit. Insert the prongs into the roast, tighten the lock screw, and again, use a fork to snug it shut. To cook the prime rib, I'm using a South American-style wood-burning grill and rotisserie. I built an oak log fire in the firebox and burned it down to embers. Another feature of the South American grill is a grilling mechanism that raises and lowers above the fire And this is how you control the heat. So position the spit in the holder and then load the other end into the socket and install one of the grilling grates to grill some asparagus. Now, rake out the embers so you have a few behind the roast, a few in front, and then embers under the grill for the asparagus. You don't want embers or fire directly under the prime rib. Cooking time for this monster, 1.5 to 2 hours. Just switch on the rotisserie and you're in business. Now let me show you the asparagus. I've pinned the stalks into rafts using toothpicks. Drizzle the asparagus with extra virgin olive oil. And season with coarse sea salt and freshly ground black pepper. Grilling time for the asparagus, couple minutes per side. Just looking for a little blistering and charring on each side. Check out this prime rib. It looks spectacular. Let's check the internal temperature. You want it to be between 100 and 110 degrees. Now, I know this is a bit rarer than most people like their prime rib, but I have a really cool way to finish it. Hey, Chris, want to give me a hand getting this off? Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
Chris runs our field kitchen. I'm going to let the prime rib rest for a few minutes while I put the remaining grates on the grill. Now back to the prime rib. Remove the prongs and remove the spit from the prime rib. Now lift up the prime rib and cut it into 7 monster steaks. 1, that's the biggest steak I've ever seen. And obviously, these steaks are going to be shared by more than one person. So here are your prime rib steaks. The last step is to grill these over a wood fire so you get extra smoke, extra crust. Everybody gets an end cut. Salt and pepper the steaks before they go on the grill. And if the fire gets too hot, raise the grate. This leaves me almost speechless. The wood aroma just coming up right at you. The surface beautifully charred. Take a steak. Now to carve the steak for serving, first carve the meat off the bone, then cut it vertically into slices. The knife glides through this beef like through butter. And don't forget to serve that beautiful bone. Let's see how we did. This is amazing. It's tender like prime rib with that primal char of steak. Wood flavor, not overpowering, subtle but thoroughly infused in the meat. Maybe the best beef I've ever tasted. Baked stuffed potatoes are an American steakhouse classic. So I had the idea to triple smoke the potatoes. That is, first smoke the potatoes instead of baking them. Then stuff the potatoes with bacon, which is smoky, smoked cheese, and smoked paprika. And finally, reheat the mixture in the smoker. If you think a stuffed baked potato is great, wait until you try this one. Start with 4 large baking potatoes. Brush the outside with melted bacon fat and season with salt and freshly ground black pepper. Smoke the potatoes in a smoker preheated to 375 degrees. When the potatoes are tender, cut in half, scoop out most of the flesh. Make a stuffing by sautéing 4 strips of diced artisanal bacon, then add butter, scallions, coarsely grated smoked or white cheddar cheese, sour cream, and Spanish smoked paprika. Stuff the mixture back into the potato shells. Just before serving, reheat the potatoes in the smoker. A baked potato never tasted so amazing. By now you realize you can smoke just about anything. Smoke gives our last dish a haunting, otherworldly quality, familiar yet exotic. This may just be the most surprising cheesecake you ever put in your mouth. Smoked cheesecake was something of an experiment. I knew that there are smoked cheeses. I know that cheesecake is often paired with caramel sauce. And caramel is nothing more than burnt sugar. So in burning the sugar, you get a smoke flavor. So I thought it might work, but I had never actually cooked a cheesecake in a smoker until we did it on Project Smoke. The results were delicious. Start with 2 pounds of cream cheese in a food processor. Add brown sugar, vanilla extract, freshly grated lemon zest, and melted butter. Turn on the food processor on low at first, then high. You may need to scrape down the processor bowl a few times. Once the mixture is creamy, crack 5 eggs and add them one by one to the cream cheese mixture. Now you may be wondering why I have a separate bowl. Well, if you crack your egg into the food processor and you miss, you don't want to waste all this cream cheese with some stray eggshells. Three. And 5. And you may need to scrape the processor bowl down a couple of times. Now, take out the blade and scrape it clean. Then pour the cream cheese filling into a graham cracker crust. Give the cheesecake a few taps to knock out any air bubbles. To cook the cheesecake, I have fired up an electric smoker. I fueled it with maple wood, and I'll just put the cheesecake in the smoker. Set the temperature to 300 degrees. Cooking time will be about 2.5 to 3 hours. While the cheesecake smokes, a burnt sugar sauce to go with it. Start by pouring sugar and water in a hot pan. Stir to mix. And cook this mixture to a dark caramel. Now whisk in the heavy cream that will erupt with a Vesuvian hiss. And finally, your vanilla. And there's your burnt sugar sauce to go with your cheesecake. It's 2.5 hours later. The cheesecake should be ready. Wow, how awesome is that? Let the cheesecake cool. You can see it's done. The crust has started to pull away from the sides of the pan. And if I shake the pan, the cheesecake looks firm. So all we need to do now is taste it. It's cheesecake, all right, but there's something different, and that difference is wood smoke. So now you know how to take your next smoke session uptown. Barbecued oysters, smoked rotisserie prime rib, triple smoked potatoes, and smoked cheesecake. But what's most important, great food and great friends to share it with.
Steven?
Matt, cheers! All right, we did it. Thank you so much. We did How was your day? It was good. Insert your skewer.
And then freeze, or what?
No, okay, sorry. Once the mixture is creamy,
Help, please.
that didn't work so well.